Hey, it's Ted Prodromo again, the second Tuesdays with Ted today. I've got a double feature for you today. Today's second guest is Barry Randall, who I met you through John Carlton's Mastermind and through Trevor, Toe Cracker.
Indeed, yeah.
Yeah,
How's Ted?
good.
I noticed you was doing a second live today, and there was one just before this. So, but I was obviously meditating and doing a few press ups and stuff to get ready for mine, you know. So,
Yeah. No, I've been doing these and I'm booked out through June now. I've got so many
wow.
people want to be guests, so maybe I'll
I,
start doing double features
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
if the
I
demand's
thought you meant
there.
me as a double feature at that point, but there you go. No pressure on me, of course. But yeah, it was. I was thinking, are you going to Vegas next month?
I'm thinking about it.
Ah, okay, cool.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
got like a couple of trips in sandwiched right around that. So see if I can squeeze in the trip to Vegas.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I would be good to see you there.
Yeah. So you said that you want to talk about you can do anything next, but you can't do everything next. Tell me more about that.
Yeah, interesting thing. What it was is just at the time, um, clearly not the headline writer in my organization, right? That's obvious. But and I thought, is this a shameless plug, really? Because I wrote a book called "Do the Next Thing Next," and which was which did really well actually on Amazon, and it was just the premise of sort of doing one thing after another and not trying to overdo things. So, but seriously, at the time you asked me about this live, I was deeply involved in helping several business owners get their head out their backsides essentially, and it seemed really appropriate at the time. And I'm very much like off the cuff and wear my heart on my sleeve. So if I'm doing something, I'm thinking about something at that moment, I kind of like go with it. And then this has been booked a couple of months, so I'm kind of not in that moment now, but it's still really relevant, and it always is, because it seems to me that the biggest problem that everyone I know, and I do know a lot of people, have the problem that they have with their professional life is they have so much opportunity and so much talent, and then when you mix those together, they just don't focus in, you know, like a brain surgeon would, for example, on the things that really matter most to them in their businesses.
Yeah.
So we tend to try and do everything rather than just do the one thing that really matters, and instead, and we're opting instead to do multiple things. So multitasking, and I speak to clients all the time about not multitasking, not over taking on too much stuff. So, you know, I guess the old adage that a man who chases two rabbits catches none, and all that jazz. So that's really what it was about for me. People lose sight of the goal, you know, their why,
Right.
and and then most people that I meet, coach, serve, you know, they've been moving steadily towards their goal, and then they create, for whatever reason, through a lack of patience, um, they don't quite see through what they was working on, and that patience then manifests itself into a need to move things quickly.
Yeah.
Okay, and that quickly usually makes people do more, not less.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so which for me is then where that working smart not hard comes in, and I kind of use the idea of working harder on smarter things. I don't personally subscribe to the idea that you can just work smart and not hard. I think you have to do both, but work harder on smart things. And again, I've helped a lot of business owners who have become lost in their quest. And then I'll ask them a simple question, Ted, which is, when were you happiest in your business? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and they usually say they've never been happy in it. I've
Oh,
never really been totally happy with my business. And I say, well, why are you doing it? And they don't really know.
right.
Um, and when you get to the bottom of it, they just want to get more time back for
Mm-hmm.
themselves. I just want more time for myself. You know, you and I hear this on our mastermind calls. People just want time back for themselves, because none of us can replace time. We can replace money. And once you earn so much money, you don't really get to, you kind of don't really care too much about that. I don't believe you don't want to not have enough, but you don't really care about earning too much. And because we're sort of incredibly intelligent creatures, obviously, we figure that we have to do more in order to do less. And people get stuck in that vicious cycle. They start their business to generate more money and more time, and then quickly begin chasing time in the false ideal that more money is going to give them more time. And it's madness, Ted, isn't it?
I'm
Really?
going through that right now with my own business. Exactly. I like took on too many different things in different directions.
Yeah.
And I just cleared the deck, and I'm like, okay, let's just figure this out. Let it all just come to me naturally.
And that clearing of the deck is the thing, isn't it? Because that really makes you focus in on the fact that, hey, hold on, actually I can do anything here,
right?
But I can't do everything. And that's the idea behind this. And I really genuinely believe, and I'm passionate about this in terms of helping clients change their life, is all of this could be solved if we just got better financial education. Because when you start your business in the beginning, you sort of earn quite a lot of money really quickly. And if you just invested that and did the right things with it, you would build that compounded effect would go up instead of down. And the compounded effect of our time and the wasted time that we use drags us into a place that we should have never been in the first place. And I remember this big lesson that I got, a real big wake-up call to this. And it was from a guy called Brad Sugars, who's the founder of Action Coach. And you probably know Action Coach. And he said, if you're doing everything he was asking about the business, he said, how much are you doing in your business? And so who's doing this and who's doing this? And then he said, if you're doing everything in your business, you don't have a business, you have a job and you work for an idiot. Right. And that was just a real kick in the nuts, for me. I was like, wow. And I've heard him say that several times since. And every time he says it, it's just a real good reminder that I'm trying to do everything instead of just doing the one thing that really matters. It's a bit like trying to learn everything.
Yeah.
You're one of the people that I know that specialize in something, I'm like a generalist. So I kind of cover finances and I cover a bit of this and I cover a bit of that. And it kind of puts a lot of pressure on you because people almost see you as the answer to everything. And I get wrapped up in, okay, I really need to learn more about finance.
Right.
I really need to learn more about marketing. I really need to learn more about sales. And what I forget to do, and what a lot of people forget to do, is go, hold on, I really need to learn a lot about me, about what I want, about who I am, and about what I'm trying to deliver to the world. And we lose that kind of spiritual connection with our purpose and why we started what we're doing in the first place, because we're now doing all this stuff that in the long term really doesn't matter.
I was
and that's
a
really
generalist
why
for 20 years. I was doing a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and inch deep, mile wide.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's so much easier to focus on one thing and be really good at it.
Yeah. And isn't it amazing, Ted, that you and I can have this conversation and we can both tell each other exactly what we should be doing, but then we go and do the complete opposite to that and take on that extra thing, and we take on that extra thing. And I really genuinely believe that people say to me, what is it that you do? And I say, I serve people. I'm a husband, a dad, a grandfather, a son, a brother, a good friend. And that's the most important thing to me. But the next thing is I serve people, that, and it's the Jim Rohn thing from the Bible of, how's it go? Service to many leads to greatness, or something like that. And I really genuinely believe that. I feel like my purpose here in without going too deep, the purpose here in life is to serve as many people as I can and pass on the message that I've got and the breakthrough that I've had in my life to as many people as I can. And I went through a stage of trying my hardest to learn how to make everybody listen. And now I realize that not everybody's going to listen, So I've just got to share my message, and the people that listen. The people that don't listen, don't listen, So that's that journey of trying to do everything but not doing anything for ourselves. That's really what this was about.
I was just talking to someone this morning who talked about that. It says, you could give people the recipe for success, and maybe 10% would take any action, where maybe 1% will actually succeed.
Uh-huh.
And then the other 90% will just kind of like, oh, on to the next thing to make me $1 million. Then they never make the $1 million.
Yeah, or they find anybody. These people find a group. I'm really conscious that I don't want to be unkind and mean to anybody as I'm saying this, but some people really are just looking for somebody else to not do their stuff with, but they don't want to fail on their own, so they might as well pull in this little crowd of people that are all gonna, not succeed, not achieve what they're really capable of, and we're all capable of so much more than we believe, but they're going to find a reason to not get this done, and we all need somebody or something to blame, even if we don't verbalize that or externalize that. We just need to lay in bed at night, put our head on the pillow, and just sleep feeling like, yeah, I tried my best, but it is a frustration of being in the coaching world, as you'll know, because you can see people's potential and they can't see it in themselves, and it's so frustrating. But at the same time, the rewards when it works are just, I can't describe how that feels when somebody makes that breakthrough. It's really rewarding. So
we were talking about that with them, like marketing of this guy I was talking to this morning.
Yeah,
I used to fix computers for a living way in the 1980s. And I'd go in, the computer would be broken, I'd change a part, it would work. And the customer could see that was it. Marketing, there's so much involved. You can do so much, but the customer has to do something. They have to implement it, and it doesn't always work. It's not like change this part and then your car will run better.
Yeah.
So it's interesting.
It is. It's my constant message to clients, to members in our in our membership is that there's just mountains beyond mountains all of the time. You scale that mountain or that problem, and you get to the top, and you go, wow, there's another mountain beyond that, and it's just that constant, challenge that's in front of you. And if you can't accept that, then you need to go and get a job or do something different with your life. But as business owners, as entrepreneurs, scaling those mountains is what it's all about. That's the fun, that's the challenge, that's the evolution that we want as human beings, and what gets us bouncing out of bed in the morning. And I get out of bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, I go for a walk for an hour and a half, listening to new training and learning new stuff. Why? Because I know there's another mountain there waiting for me to scale it. So yeah. Oh, good, man.
It's no set it and forget it anymore. Like before, you could set up a campaign, a Google ad campaign, and it would run for months or years.
Yeah.
Now everything is so dynamic.
What happened there? It just changes so often. I can't keep up with.
Well, business changes faster than ever too. Look at how everything's just evolving so fast.
I clipped to the something that you'd mentioned about since the lockdown and the restrictions or whatever it was. You said on the mastermind call that the coaches on LinkedIn went from, was it something like 6 million to 30 million? I can't remember.
2 million. Yeah, 2 million to almost 7 million.
Yeah, so 5 million coaches just appeared from nowhere in that space that the 2 million was already struggling to acquire enough clients from. So it's just it's crazy how fast things move, and how quickly someone can become a coach or a specialist or I guess in LinkedIn, you see all of these gurus all of the time, and they pop up all of the time telling me, that I need to do this with my LinkedIn and that with my LinkedIn. And, I'm always not super nice to people because, they're just trying to get business. Sometimes I'll say, maybe you should have gone around this a different way. And then other times I just go, thanks, not now, but all of these people popping up in these spaces, I guess that's what makes us do more and more and more and more as business owners, trying to develop our skills.
Well, they're trying to make one sale as opposed to building a long-term relationship with someone's going to be a customer for the next 20 years and refer you people.
Yeah, sure. No, I get that.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
what was
going
the
over
turning point for you when you kind of went from this where you are and you're kind of getting a lot of clarity? You,
you know, it's like an evolving thing, you know, like in the most recent time. I mean, I went and spent 3 or 4 days with Perry Belcher and Kevin Nations and Amanda Dobson and various people at an event in Vegas, and they gave me even more clarity, you know. And then in the weeks since then, about 3 or 4 weeks, I've got even more clarity listening to some training, doing some training with Kevin. But if I go back to a few years ago, I was doing landscape gardening. That was the thing. That's what I did all of my working career. And then in 2016, my business coach, Alan, he suggested I go and to Dan Kennedy, Bill Glazier's GKIC Super Conference 2016 in Jacksonville, Florida. I had no money. Just I felt like this is the right thing to do. So he was telling me for a reason. So hey, I'm intuitive and I like to take chances. So I went along. And while I was there, I noticed Infusionsoft. I don't know why, that was a thing that stood out to me. And it sort of made sense. Oh, well, this does that, and all this automation. I was like, that's really cool. So me being me, I go and get Infusionsoft, and I've never done any marketing in my life. So that was a lesson. I got a bit tangled up in that, but it's good once you know how to use it. So I ended up doing that, and I started to get into copywriting a little bit. So I wrote a direct response piece, and I looked at Joe Polish, what he was doing with the carpet cleaners or the rug cleaners, as Dan was saying. And I thought, hey, wouldn't it be cool if I could do that, but with landscape gardeners?
Right.
So I came back and I modeled one of the ads that, like the ads that Joe was doing, or he had done for the carpet cleaners, and I created an ad very similar that was just for maintenance for landscaping. And I put it out to where I was advertising anyway, changed my whole ads where it's got my logo at the top and all of that kind of stuff. And I got rid of that, and I put this direct response ad in these magazines. And my sales went from 8,000 a month to over 30,000 a month because of this ad was now attracting more people.
Right.
So I was like, wow, that's just one thing. And as a result of that ad, obviously my business ended up growing, and now it's kind of mid 7 figures. But the marketing side of it made me understand the rest of business and how things are structured in systems. And because of that ad, I went to a coaching group again with my coach Alan, and I won. He basically gave out a gift because I'd tried something and tested something that worked, and then in his coaching group he could share that with other people. And he gave me this box, and inside the box there was a book. And he said, you're not allowed to open it until you leave, because he wanted everybody else in the group to want this book or want to know what was inside it. Okay.
Right.
And when I got home, it was John Carlton's book, The Entrepreneur's Guide to Getting Your Shit Together. And I read the book, and I was like, and it blew me away. It's an amazing book anyway. And so I was like, so I wrote down a goal that I'm going to join John Carlton's mastermind. I just wrote down this goal. Here's me, this landscape gardener. I'm going to join his mastermind group. And a few years go by, and I don't know how it happened, but I ended up on a call with Stan and John, and I joined the mastermind group. And my first meeting was in Arizona, in Phoenix, Arizona, at Richard Miller's studio. And I remember going there, and I said to myself, right, I need to be like a really big business owner right now. I need to be a big business owner. And if I'm not acting like a big business owner, I'm going to get found out in this group. So I booked a economy flight out and a business class flight back. And I used my credit card to pay for this flight. And I said to myself, I'm going to go there as me. I'm going to come back as a bigger business owner. So I booked myself a business class flight. And anyway, went and joined the group for the first time. And I felt really nervous. I'm a landscape gardener. Everybody's marketers. They're doing all these great things. And we did the session, and John said, "Oh, I think this is going to be really good fun with what you're doing with your business." And all the guys made me feel really welcome. So John went to me, who owns the industry that you're trying to break into? And I said, well, no one, as far as I know. He said, okay, then you own it. And what you need to do is write a book. I was like, okay, I've only wrote one advert. Now I've got to write a book, right? So 4 months later, I go back to Boston. We have the mastermind meeting in Boston. And bearing in mind, in Arizona, I felt like a complete imposter in that environment. I was like, I'm just a landscape gardener. Maybe I should just stick to what I'm doing. I don't really know enough about marketing, etc. But I'd already paid for the year. So I said, I'm going to go to Boston. And John said, write a book. So as soon as I got on the plane, I'm writing this book like a madman.
Yeah.
And I go back to Boston 4 months later, and John goes, okay, what's your homework? So I goes, it's to write a book. And I pulled the book out, it's printed, published, and I gave it to him. So everybody gives me a round of applause. And then he goes, no one's ever done that in 7 years running this mastermind. So then John went, I'm going to create this award, and it's called the Barry Quotient. And it's basically a measure of how much you can get done in between mastermind meetings. And it kind of rattled the group a little bit, I felt. So that made me realize, this is the big moment, the turning point for me, Ted, was that made me realize that you can make up in effort what you lack in knowledge. Right? Everyone's got a superpower. It's not, and I thought, it's not who you show up as, it's what you show up with. Okay, so not who you show up as, but what you show up with. And the implementation creates lessons which others are not prepared to experience. And that effectively removed my imposter syndrome, because I was coming back to these meetings and I'd smashed all of my targets and more, and other people were still saying, haven't quite got this done.
Yep.
And they've done a lot of stuff, but they hadn't quite got done certain things. And I thought, okay, so it's not just me then. Yeah. So I goes back to my coach and said, hey, even people in the mastermind at this level struggle to get things done. And he was like, I went, that must mean I'm pretty good, right? And he said, well, that must mean you're better than them, because you can get stuff done and they can't. So that helped me understand that if I don't need to show up as anyone. All I have to do is deliver on what I said I would. And that puts me in the top 1%. And I'd rather have that feeling of inferiority and continually need to improve myself than pretend I'm something I'm not, but not get anything done. And that was really the turning point for me, that everyone gave me a round of applause, and I felt that I'd arrived as a business owner at that point. And from then, everything sort of changed. Like my decision making changed. I can do one big decision without thinking about all the consequences. My sales have gone, I'm like not 1.5 million a year now. It's like 5, So all of these things changed as a result of that standing ovation. But then I was like, is it that? It wasn't that. It was that I wrote the book, that I put the effort in, and I actually got done what I said I was going to get done. And since then, I've written 3 books, because now I'm more confident to just write it and put it out there. And I really don't mind whether people value it or not. I value it, and that's the most important thing. So that
writing that first book is such a big challenge, but it's such an accomplishment.
Absolutely, yeah. It felt amazing to just go, because I had that deadline as well, and I realized that deadlines matter to me. I was never going to go back to the group in Boston not having done what I said I was going to get done, because I didn't know what the response would be to that. In my eyes, if someone comes to me and they've not done what they said they was going to get done, I'm going to hold them accountable to that. So I expected that that's what was going to happen to me. And in my head, I was thinking, if I don't turn up with a book, they might just say, get out. You know, what am I going to do then? I'm stuck in Boston and I've got it 3 days and wait. So I kind of put that much pressure on myself to get it done, that it triggered something in my mind that made me realize that that's how you do it. If you've not got the knowledge, put in the effort.
Yeah.
And that's it really. There's what's the saying? Hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, or something like that. So
yeah. No, that story is very similar to me. And I was in Perry Marshall's mastermind.
Okay.
And he said, "You're America's leading LinkedIn coach." And I can't say that. How can I prove it? So he made me call myself that. And then we had the opportunity to write the book together, and he backed out at the last second. He says, "No, you just write the book." So I have a deadline just like you, and it made me write the book and changed my life.
Absolutely. And it's a great book, by the way, the first edition anyway. And I remember, you know, she might be watching this because I sent some invitations out, but a friend of mine and my wife, so my friend Jess and his wife Rianne, they was talking about their business and how they could develop it. And I said, oh, you should use LinkedIn more and do the networking side of it. And I remember sending her a copy of your book, and I sent it through to their office with just a note saying, I think you'll find this book really valuable. And since then, she does I don't know whether, I've never had the conversation and said, did that book make any difference or not? But since then, you see that the difference that LinkedIn's made to the presence that she's got on LinkedIn. And I hope that book made a difference. And that's what I say about serving people. It's like, I see someone's got an opportunity. I know that I've met you. I've seen about your book. I got to understand who you are. Send somebody the book, and then you see a difference. And that's a great thing about what we do, I believe.
Yeah. And like for serving, you're serving people. It doesn't mean you have to do everything. It's about just introducing someone to someone that can help them, or send them a book.
Yeah.
I love that when you send them books with a little handwritten note.
Just to prove I'm a fan, Ted, I do have your book. Here it is, the 3rd edition now, you know.
We're ready for the 4th edition.
Yeah, exactly that. That's it. Once you're the ultimate guide, you've got to keep doing 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th.
It's a lifetime commitment.
I started looking at my own now and saying, hey, you know, that first book that I did was called Time, Team and Money. Yeah. And it's about, you know, how to, you know, manage your time better, build a team so you can make more money. But it was my first attempt, and I'm like, you know what, I'm going to go and edit that and do version 2.
Yeah.
You know, and just make it and put more proof in it for businesses that I've helped outside of construction related companies, you know. So yeah, once you've got that, you can always keep upgrading it. And they're the things that I used to think, oh, I've got to do something new. And it doesn't have to necessarily be new. It just needs to be refreshed, you know. And
this is what's cool too. These checks come in the mail every few months.
Exactly. That's from me buying your books.
Passive income.
You know what? My book, the books that I've done, every tiny bit of profit that I make from it goes to a charity called Green Fingers Charity. I never even see what I make or don't make. I just get letters from them thanking me for the money that they received. So
that's great.
I never wanted to make any money from the book necessarily. I just thought, how can I give something back? And I just support that charity with
it's
any
the best
sales.
business card there is too. When you mail someone a book that you wrote, because it's not easy to write a book.
Absolutely. I've got a video where I had somebody come on a video who said that reading my book changed their life. They were in such a dark place, feeling like they couldn't go on and whatever, that they read this book and it changed their life. Yep. And you just think, I never meant for that to happen. I just wrote a book, you know, to create the best business card you could. And then you don't realize then what you're putting into it when you start to share your story a little bit. So, but yeah, it is not easy writing a book. I must say, I've spent 6 months trying to write a follow-on to my last book. And in the end, I just went, oh, I can't do this for the next few months. I've just left it, and I'm going to come back to it. And I've put a date, 9th of June. I'm going to start again, you know.
Right.
It's such a is such a task, you know. It doesn't flow, and you know all the great writers that we know, the Johns and the David Deutsches and stuff. There's you just write, you know. You just can sit down and write. I can't. I have to be really in a certain mindset to do any writing.
Oh yeah, you definitely have to be in the right mindset. And I was under a deadline. Plus, I was working full time, and my mother was not. She was like failing health, and they wanted this book done in 3 months. Like, oh my god! So
From
literally, I sat
start to
down.
finish.
I blocked out time every day. I did the Pomodoro method. You set your timer for 25 minutes. You work, take a 5-minute break, write again. That helped me get through.
Literally full-time writing.
Yeah.
Wow.
In my spare time between working and
yeah. So I was getting up at like 5 a.m. writing for an hour, then going out and doing my walk. But what I find with my writing is once you're in the flow of it, of doing it every day, it does actually help. And if anyone that does, I don't know, we've got onto book writing, but if anyone is writing a book, I find just reading the page or two that you wrote the day before really gets you straight back into the flow, or it did for me anyway. So
that's like copywriting or email marketing. If you get in, start doing it every day, you build the muscle, and it gets easier. Until you take a year off, and then you're like, oh god, I got to start this new book.
But this is the thing, isn't it? Like, you know, going back to the point of this call, you can do anything, but you can't do everything. You know, you just said that yourself. You've got to lock yourself away for 3 months and it be the main focus of your life in order for you to be able to do it. But you can't do that, and that is just impossible. And I think people give themselves a hard time over the fact that they can't do lots of creative things at the same time and do them really effectively. And when I talk to clients that are sort of starting on this personal development journey, I really use that fact that people like you and I, who've been on this journey for a longer time, who've written books, who've coached people, who've spoke at events, who've got really good influential friends and contacts, we all struggle with that. You know, we all struggle with taking on too much and not being effective, you know?
Yeah.
And that's the key message for me.
So do you keep like a task list, things you have to do, a to-do list, and here's what I'm focusing on today?
I do. I use, you know what? I use I love Dan Sullivan's strategic coach. I like listening to his 25-year framework was a really good short audio book. And the one that he did with Benjamin Hardy, The Gap and the Gain. So I took something from there, which was his 3 goals and your 3 wins for the day. So my notepad that's at the side of me, and I've just to show you, I write in it every day, my goals and my wins. So I started trying to journal, and then, you know, that's just more time for me. So it's easier for me to just go, here's my 3 goals for today, 3 clear goals. These were my 3 wins for today. So that principle was that even if you have a bad day, 3 great things will still happen in that day. And it might just be a text from a family member, or your daughter says that she loves you, or something like that, and you write them down, and don't ever forget those things. Stop, you know, sometimes look back just to reflect on how far you've come. So that's my thing. I write those 3 goals, and one of them usually, Ted, every day would be, make sure my day's organized. You know, that could be a goal for me.
Right.
I do have the luxury of having a few assistants to help in different businesses and different areas. And really, you know, they're priceless, you know, for getting through longer to-do lists. I think I brain dumped about 50 things today and put it down for Carla, and she just looked at it and went, okay, yeah, that's cool. And I'm like, you know, but yeah, you're trying to get all these things done.
Did you ever try to do the Kanban board?
No, what's that?
Ed Dale taught it to me. Kanban. So software developers use it. Basically, you do the brain dump. They put everything on a yellow sticky.
Yeah.
And here's the 50 things that I've just did a brain dump. And then you can only do 3 things a day, literally.
Yeah.
So you put 3 things in the middle column, say, this is what I'm working on today. Then when you're done, you move them to the other column. The final column is like finished. So you have all these things you've finished, and then the focus is those 3 things every day.
Yeah.
Very effective.
I know what you mean. Yeah, absolutely. There's like Scrum as well, isn't there? There's a
Exactly.
few, and Dean Jackson talks about the 50-minute brain dump. Just set a timer and just write everything you can think of. And I do actually tell clients to do that as well. I say just write everything from how am I going to make enough money to retire to why is Mickey a mouse? Just anything that you can possibly think of in your mind. Just write it down, and it's so effective. These things, success leaves clues. And I sometimes find myself telling a client what they should do and realizing I should be doing that exact same thing myself today. So I go, right, I'm going to go and do that as well, So anyway.
Yeah, if we're not doing it, we can't tell them to do it, right?
Yeah, of course. Now, it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
Do as I say, not as I do. That's what.
Right.
But yeah, it's good fun.
Great. So this has been really great, Barry. Good talking with you. How can people get in touch with you to learn more? They can.
Oh, good stuff. Well, obviously LinkedIn would be a great place for me. So you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm making a lot of noise daily. Facebook as well. I'm fairly active on Facebook. And then if you want to, we've got our podcast as well. So unlimitedsuccessclub.com. We've got a podcast, Unlimited Success Podcast. That Ted, you've still not booked your spot on yet, so you can. Add this to your list.
I just started listening to that. It's a good podcast. You guys do
good. Yeah, add that to your list, and yeah, we're doing some great stuff over there. We've got a if people want to come in and have a look at what we do, it's only $1 to trial it. So we've got a nice little offer for people for $1 to get a bunch of our videos and see what they think to it. So we just spread the word. So unlimitedsuccessclub.com or Facebook or LinkedIn. And I'll be around making some noise, or come to Vegas and see us on 20 and 21st. I think 21st we'll be hanging out in Vegas somewhere, Park MGM, I think. So yeah, that might be one as well.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you.
Good catching up with you. We'll be in touch, definitely.
You too, my friend. Take care.
Thanks.